Welcome to Growing Faith Resources. I'm Katie, a certified Christian educator, and I'm here to help you figure out what's going to work best for your congregation. Today, we're going to talk about the Youth Leaders Guide, part of our Follow Me Biblical Practices for Faithful Living curriculum. So, let's get started. Before we dive into the Youth Leaders Guide, let's first recap Follow Me. So Follow Me, Biblical Practices for Faithful Living, is a practice-based curriculum. It has 36 different practices that you can choose from, and practices are things that Jesus did, taught, or told us to do, and things that we study throughout the Bible, and things that we have practiced for many centuries. So this curriculum has something for every age level in your congregation. And if you'd like to learn more about it, I will try to link a few videos in the description below. And this is definitely something you're going to want to check out. So now that you've got a little bit of information on Follow Me, let's take a look at the Youth Leaders Guide. So for the Youth Leaders Guide, we gathered a team of writers and an editor who had experience working with youth. And this guide is meant for youth ages 11 to 18. And this is a pretty big developmental age gap. But we've done our best to really make sure that we're meeting our youth where they are, and we've done some things with this curriculum that I hope will help you see how we've met the needs of our youth at their different developmental stages. So let's look at the nuts and bolts, and you can see how we've carefully crafted this curriculum with our youth in mind. So the Youth Leaders Guide contains helpful information for the leader, including a Follow Me overview, a unit overview, detailed session plans, and a foundational essay. So let's look at each of these pieces in turn. We're going to start with the Follow Me overview. So this is at the beginning of the Leader's Guide, and you're going to find that it's a great introduction to the Follow Me curriculum. It just kind of summarizes what Follow Me is all about. And so this is great if this is your first time using the curriculum, but it's also a great refresher if you haven't been back to it in a while. The next page is going to have helpful information about leading youth and a note about supplies. There's also great activity symbols, and these are really helpful, and these really do a good job of addressing youth at whatever developmental stage they find themselves at, because these symbols help the leader categorize different activities. So you're going to be able to tell at a glance what type of activity this is. This is helpful for a lot of reasons, but we've also included some things that make it especially helpful for our youth, and that is especially true with this concrete and abstract thinking symbols that you'll notice on this page. So the concrete thinking is much like it sounds, activities that are just use very concrete kind of thinking. And the abstract thinking is going to be more esoteric kind of thinking that are going to be involved with the activity. And so our youth are going to be in different stages with how much they think concretely versus how much they think abstractly. And this could vary by their ages too. There may be older youth that think more concretely and younger youth that think more abstractly. So this allows you to really pick and choose activities that are going to work best for your youth, because every single section is going to have different types of activities. So you're always going to have something to choose from. And so that's going to allow you to really cater this curriculum to your group of youth specifically. The next thing you're going to see is the unit overview, and this is information about the particular practice you're studying. It's going to help you, the leader, understand the practice a little bit better. You're going to kind of see what this practice means, where it's found in the Bible, and how youth connect with this practice or how they understand it. You'll also see a good note about working with the infographic posters. And if you'd like to learn more about those, I'll leave a link in the description below where you can learn more. Now let's talk about the session plans. So each session plan begins with a little overview that kind of explains what this session is about. You're going to study a particular aspect of a practice, and so it's going to go into more detail about this facet of the practice. Then you're going to learn information about the Bible passage for this section, and you're going to see how youth kind of connect with it. Then there's a session preparation section, and this is something you want to make sure your leaders read, because if there's something extra you need to do for a specific activity, then it's going to be in here. Some of your basic things like making copies and gathering supplies aren't featured in this section, but if there's something extra, it's going to be here, so don't skip this section. You're also going to see on this page there's a goal for the session. There's also those activity symbols, a little key for them. So again, as you're going through activity by activity, it makes it easy for you to pick and choose what's going to work best. And then there's finally a prayer for the leader. So after that, we get into our session flow. Before we kind of dive into the flow specifically, I want to point out a couple of things that are going to be helpful to the leader. First, you're going to notice that supplies are listed next to each activity. That means that once you decide which activities you're doing, you're going to know right away which supplies you need for that activity and which supplies you don't need for that activity. Second, you're going to note that there are asterisks throughout the curriculum. And this is great because there are helpful teaching tips with these asterisks, there's adaptations, all kinds of great things that allow you to make choices about what you're doing. The session flow begins with getting started, and this is your gathering time. It might include an opening ritual, which you'll do through the entire duration of the practice. Not all of our practices have them, but there is an option for that. The next section you're going to come across is introducing the practice. So this is talking about what the practice is, how we define it, what it kind of looks like. After that, you're going to find the practice in the Bible. So this is talking about what does the Bible have to say about this particular practice, and letting the youth get a chance to really look it up and consider the source. Go to the Bible, see what the Bible says about this practice, maybe how we did it, maybe who said we should do it. All those kinds of great things the youth are going to discover by looking it up in the Bible. After that, you're going to find the practice then and now. So this is looking at the history of this practice. Where did we see it show up across history? And also, where do we see it now in present day? After that, you get to practice the practice. And this is when you really get to try out the practice as a group, almost like you're putting it on, like you try on clothes. Then the final section of the session plan is following Jesus. And this is our blessing and sending time, because we shouldn't just learn about this practice, we should also go out and do it and take it into our everyday life. The final thing you'll notice about all of the sessions is that they contain resource pages. Now, the resource pages can be in color or black and white, and you can make copies of them or send them out electronically to your participants. And these could be all kinds of things, like timelines or worksheets or puzzles, maps, anything that the session needs. So that means that there'll be different amounts of them for each session depending on what's going on in the session. The final section in the Youth Leaders Guide is the foundational essay, and you'll find this really helpful. The foundational essay is written by a biblical scholar, and it has some great background information about the practice you're studying in this unit. This is great for personal devotion or reflection, but it's going to make your leader feel really equipped as they're leading youth through this practice. There's also the possibility that your youth are going to find this foundational essay helpful as well, especially if they are really, really interested in a specific practice or they like theology and kind of want to go a little deeper. This is going to be a great thing that you may want to consider passing on for a youth to read. Mostly though, we hope you'll encourage your leaders to read this because it's going to be very helpful for them. This concludes the information on the Youth Leaders Guide. And if you'd like to learn more about this guide and download the sample session for this Leaders Guide, you can visit our website to do that. It's www.pcusastore.com/follow-me-curriculum. And you can also watch other videos on this channel if you'd like to learn more about Follow Me, and I'll try to link a playlist in the description. Remember to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell so that you know when we post new videos about more Follow Me resources or other great things that your congregation may find helpful. Thank you for watching, and God be with you.